A staple I do in all interviews, in order to start things off, is to ask that you elaborate a bit about your work and this particular role for those not familiar with it.
Right, hi. My name is Tadeas Moravec, that's my whole name. I'm an actor. I trained at the East 15 Acting School in London. I've been working as an actor for the past 2 years since I graduated, and I voiced and actually did some motion capture for the character Richter in the new Stalker 2 game.
Awesome. I did not know you did the motion capture as well. I'll try to spin that in there.
Yeah, actually, I did some, yeah.
Hmm. In Stalker 2, you provide the performance for Richter. Could you tell us a bit about the character and the situation he finds himself in?
Yeah, so Richter is a stalker. He's a guide in the zone who actually grew up in the zone, you could say. He grew up in a foster home and then he escaped and he was fascinated by the zone. So he became sort of he gained this reputation of being the best guide in the zone. And then something happened during his sort of peak of being the best guide, and he carries this sort of guilt inside him, but he's still very much drawn towards the zone. So he's got this sort of ambivalence about him. And he's very sort of jovial, extroverted. He's a fun guy. He's the one, he's the guy that you want to have a drink with at the bar. And he's one of the first sort of characters that the main character Skif meets actually in the game.
When preparing to perform as Richter, were you given any initial direction in regards to the character, just in terms of an example of prep work to get into the mindset of this particular performance?
I've got actually a funny story about the audition process, if you don't mind me telling. Funny because I only got the sides for the audition and like no information whatsoever. So I actually didn't know what I was auditioning for. But I sort of gathered that it was Stalker because I'd known sort of the previous game and the film and the book. So I sort of thought it was going to be Stalker. But then I went to the audition and I just had my lines right. So we did it with the director. And and then afterwards, um someone asked me like, do you actually know the director that I did the audition with? And I was like, no, 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 I didn't have any information, so I didn't know who it was. And oh, it's his name is Ilya Naishuller. He's the director of the film Nobody with Bob Odenkirk. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul is my like one of the most favorite shows ever. So there was like, oh, okay. Well, anyways, back to your question. When I was doing the audition, I came up with sort of an idea of who this guy could be, and it was very much related to the accent as well and to the voice. And so we tried different things, and I sort of started off with very thick Eastern European accent, and they told me to sort of like tone it down a little bit. Um, they told me something about the character, like he's very, as I said before, like jovial, extroverted. He's supposed to be sort of very much outgoing. So that was the general direction. And then we were just trying to sort of find it during the motion capture process, actually. And then later when I was doing the voiceovers.
Okay, let's talk a bit about the motion capture since you did bring that up. I'm never sure when actors are actually doing motion capture or doing just voice. Tell us a little bit about the behind the scenes process on that. Did you do any sort of elaborate things on set, kind of, or what scenes were motion capture? I guess.
Didn't do much of it. I did a couple of the cut scenes. Sometimes you do sort of the animation things as well. I did that with another game. Um, and sometimes you do the cutscenes, which is more like sort of acting kind of thing. Yeah, so you just like get in the suit. It's very much like fun. The only problem is that you don't actually see the environment that you're in. So it's sort of like hard for you as an actor to actually sort of picture the environment. So that's a bit challenging, but it's fun, it's very much physical. You can just like play around. Yeah, and so I did for instance, I think one of the first scenes, I don't want to give too much away, and I'm not sure if I can actually.
We can put tags.
Yeah, yeah. So, but actually, to be fair, I don't remember very much like what cutscenes I did and whatnot. So, You know the one when Richter is listening actually in your background, I think, when he's like listening to the music and he's singing and he's up there, sort of, and Skif comes to him from, from behind. So I did that one. That was fun because he's actually like scared of heights a little bit. So that was fun to play around with.
Richter is one of the first characters you really get to meet in the game, being a constant appearance across the game. What are your thoughts on his mysterious nature and the way he just sort of pops up occasionally?
Yeah, I think it very much speaks to his sort of persona. He's got this because I think on the surface he's this very much outgoing character, and he just likes to have fun. He sometimes like poking other people sort of in a fun way, but he's got this sort of like deeper side to him, that I think actually he's a loner, you know. And I think of the Zone as another character, and I think in a way, that's like Richter's best friend. That's how I think of it. So he just like he's immersed in this environment, and then he just like when he wants, he just like pops up.
There are a few endings that can happen, and the fate of Richter changes a fair bit depending on the choices of the player. What are your thoughts on the possible conclusions to Richter's story in the game?
Again, I think it ties to like his objective in a way, because that's like his sort of biggest conflict, like his relationship to the Zone, I'd say, right? Because as I mentioned previously, it's like he grew up alone, he grew up in the Zone, so he's got this very strong connection to it, to the place. And there's like a little bit of fear of the Zone as well, whilst it's being his best friend. So I think he's throughout the game, he's sort of like still finding out his like true relationship to it and what it means. So I think one of his objective is to like sort of protect the Zone, right? Um, but it doesn't necessarily mean that um he trusts it fully, if that makes sense. So in relation to the like different endings, I think it just speaks to the different sort of pathways, of just like him thinking of his relationship to the Zone.
Richter, and you kind of mentioned this, certainly seems to carry a bit of regret in regards to guiding some stalkers across the wasteland. How do you feel that situation has impacted the character, and do you feel that in general Richter cared about the player's stalker?
Okay, simple answer. I think he does. I think he does a lot, because he carries the guilt of not being able to make it with some previous newcomers of the Zone. So he's very much like hesitant, in terms of should I, bring new people in the Zone again. But I think again, like and I think that's like the general theme of the not only of the game but also the book and the film. It's like this, people are just like fascinated by the place, and it sort of like functions as a mirror to what's happening inside, which can be scary, but also it's something that you sort of want to do. Like you just want to dive in because it's sort of like it's just like drawing you in. Um, so I think yeah, that's the inner conflict that he has. Like I think he wants to, you know, go in the Zone again. He wants to be doing that, and he wants to bring new people. And it's also like it gives him a sense of purpose as well, right? Because of his upbringing, like he then became one of the best guides, and like that gave him purpose as well. So um yeah, again, that's just his conflicts, but I think he wants to, and he wants to help. I think he cares a lot about other people and about the Zone.
Trying to sway a stalker in the Zone to work with Richter. How would you do so?
I think first off, he's just so much fun. Um, he's so like extroverted, he but still like you've got the sense that you don't really know what's coming, but at the same time, I think he definitely is someone that you can trust. So I think that's just like a perfect combination that you want to like if you want to go to such a dangerous place as the zone is. Like you want someone that you can trust, but also you want someone that can sort of like, you know, release the tension a little bit and you can just like play around and that makes you sort of relaxed. And that's how you want to be. That's what you want to be, when you go there. You don't want to be tense up, you want to be sort of relaxed because it's so dangerous.
Performing the role, were there any particular lines or moments that really stuck out to you, whether that's a behind the scenes moment or something from the dialogue?
Actually had to learn a couple of songs in Ukrainian. Not necessarily the whole songs, it was just like little segments. That was like surprisingly hard because like you would assume that it's quite easy for someone whose native like language is also Slavic, which is for me it's Czech. Um, but it was like surprisingly hard, and but then eventually I managed and I learned them, and I thought it was quite like beautiful, and also some of the directors told me that with one of the songs it was like very important for them to have it there because it's sort of related to the war, but doesn't really matter. So that was quite like strong moment for me, like just to being able to, I don't know, do that, and to put it in the game. So that was beautiful. Um, but then also you've got, with Victor, you've got so many of these like jovial moments and lines. And I just remember this one, it goes like he's talking about what does he say? He says, "Oh, we got hammered once and went on the Ferris wheel. It was a pretty shitty ride, but we had a hell of a time." And I just, for some reason, I just remember that line, and it's like it's there. Um, and a couple of weeks ago, we were in Stuttgart, Germany, and we went to the Christmas market. You know, there was some mulled wine involved, of course. And then we went on the Ferris wheel, and someone asked me later, "Oh, how was it?" And I'm like, "Oh, we got hammered and went on the Ferris wheel. It was a pretty shitty ride, but we had a hell of a time." Like, what? Oh, sorry, it's just funny. Never mind.
So- What's it like to see your voice attached to a game character?
So strange. It's so absurd. And I don't know if your audience can see it, but like you've got the picture of Richter in the background, and he doesn't necessarily look like me. You know, so it's a bit strange because to be honest, like it feels a bit just to me, and maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but it feels like it's like my voice doesn't really, I don't know, like I would assume I would picture a different voice if I saw the picture of this guy, right? But for whatever reason, I don't know, it's like we just went with it. And so when I see it, when I see myself or when I hear myself with this person, it's really surreal. I must say, but it's fun, it's
I actually think that's the beauty of voice
yeah.
acting is you can be practically anything, right?
Yeah. And also like, you as an actor, you doubt yourself all the time. So I'm like, is it really a good voice for Richter? But that's not really my decision, I suppose. I got the work, so I'm happy with it, and I did the best I could. So
It's a character you'd like to return to down the road if possible.
imagine me saying absolutely not. I mean, if I suppose that if that was how I felt, I'd just say it. But the truth is, it was so much fun. So like, definitely, definitely, he's a fun guy. And we've been, I mean, me personally, um, I've been working on this for like the past 2 years. So like you sort of, you know, there is a connection to the character, I suppose. Um, so I'd love to do it, of course.
What are your thoughts on the zone, or well, the world of Stalker in general?
Yeah, so as I mentioned previously, it's like another character, the zone. And also, I don't know if you're familiar with the film by Andrei Tarkovsky or right. So and the book. So basically, the world is based on this book by the Strugatsky brothers, Roadside Picnic. It's like a sci-fi novel. I'm not really, to be honest, I'm not really into sci-fi, but I read the book and it's just brilliant because it sort of it was created in the Soviet Russia. So like you've got sort of the genre of sci-fi, but there are also like these sort of philosophical themes underneath, and you can just feel it, and it's just so, I don't know, it's just so amazing. And I know the game is more like action based, obviously, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. Do you know what I mean? Like you can still, I think, you can still feel it, that the world of the, it's just so lonely in a way. Like when you're just like wandering around, in a way, it's lonely, but also free at the same time. And it sort of gives you at least that's how I see it. It gives you the space for like, I don't know, like thinking when you're just like wandering around in this sort of strange environment that feels dangerous and lonely, and like you I don't know, you've got these like dogs and zombies sort of popping out every now and then, so you sort of need to be you know prepared for it, but at the same time, I don't know, just like gives you the time and space to sort of like reflect on what's happening inside, which is um I think the exciting bit for me. I don't know, but that makes sense.
You're so well versed with the material. What is your favorite, I guess you would say, danger of the zone? Whether that's like a specific like creature or force, or what terrifies you the most specifically about the zone?
I think I don't want to be like too philosophical about it. I guess I kind of am. I am. It's just the incomprehensibility of the unknown, right? Because, and back to Richter and his sort of like objective and his relationship to the zone, it's just the place is, it's scary. The unknown is scary, but it's also so drawing in a way. And I think that's something that I'm finding a bit like dangerous, because you know that it is dangerous place, but you still want to go in. And that's sort of like reflecting of, I don't know, the human nature in a way. So I think that's sort of like scary but exciting at the same time. And also the the zombies and the dogs, I mean, obviously.
Lastly, I would like to leave a spot for you to say something or go over anything I might have missed during the interview, pitch anything you're working on, and stuff like that.
Uh I mean, just thank you, thank you for, I don't know, giving me this time to do this interview. And thank you to all the fans. Obviously, I'm aware of like the fan base, so I'm just like grateful that I could be part of it. And I just want to say, I mean, that sort of goes without saying, but like all the people involved, all the team, who created the game, they worked so hard for this. And I hope that you can feel it, that it's got like heart and soul. And obviously, it's not perfect. Also, I know that for some people, it's not ideal, the sort of the English version or whatever. Like some people prefer playing in the original, which I understand, and I think it's just like about giving you guys options. So yeah, I'm just, happy to be part of something like this, and I hope people will enjoy it. And if you did, you can drop me a message on Instagram, something. Be happy to sort of get back to you if I can. So yeah, good hunting, stalkers.